Auburn has a little QB dilemma on their hands.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off, and you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie Five, and we are ready to get after it. Auburn and DJ Durkin, they have a quarterback dilemma on their hands. It's not kind of what you would think. It's not that you have it's not clear who the guy is, but there's a lot of different things that are going on that revolve around Ashton's red shirt and how do you move forward and things of that nature. And we're going to talk about it. It's the bye week, and there's going to be a lot of decisions that have to be made over the next bye week, next 2 weeks on how you attack these final two games. And we're going to dive right into it. What am I talking about right off the bat? I think most people know, but I'm going to go ahead and re-educate you on the slight dilemma that Auburn is facing right now as far as how to finish off these two games, particularly at quarterback. Ashton Daniels has now played in 3 games, okay? When you play 5 games, you no longer have a red shirt. And if he doesn't red shirt this season, his college eligibility is up. So he's got 1 game left that he can play free and then come back and play again next year. If he plays 2, he's done. He's done with college football. So you have to juggle right now what to do because you have Mercer that should be a winnable game, albeit they're very impressive in their league. I think they've only lost 1 game, and they are scoring a ton of points. I assume you're going to have a defensive bounce back, but if you do get into a scoring, I don't want to say if you get into a little a back and forth and you got to score a bunch of points, do you feel comfortable doing that without Ashton? That's the dilemma that we're facing right now. And not only that, but who do you go with if you do sit down Ashton? Obviously, you can turn back to Jackson if you wanted to. He's got the most experience. You could probably build something pretty easily around him. Or do you look to the future and go to Deuce? There's been a lot of talk about, is Deuce the best one out of that room anyway? I know you can go back to the Ball State game and you can see some things from Deuce that may have been concerning, but you know what? There was a lot of things that were concerning about Ashton too in the Kentucky game. But it was interesting how you removed, obviously when you removed Hugh from the situation, Ashton blew up. You wonder if something similar like that could happen with Deuce, or heck, maybe even Jackson. I think ultimately, if the goal is to preserve Ashton's red shirt, which could lead to some other issues down the road, which we're going to talk about, you got 2 weeks, man. You got 2 weeks to come up with something for both of those guys. I think most everyone would prefer it to be Deuce. And with the way that Derek Nix got everyone on the same page and the way that he was able to make things easy and get the ball in the hands of the playmakers, you feel like you should be able to take this Mercer team and put together something to be able to move the ball. And like I said, hopefully that's with Deuce. I think it could go a really, really long way to the future. So definitely there's some decisions that'll have to be made, and there's a couple of other aspects. My personal opinion is roll with Deuce. I think you roll with Deuce and figure out a game plan that he can execute and go run them over, get out of that game. And in the meantime, you're also prepping for Alabama with Ashton. So you get to save him, you get Deuce some experience and all that good stuff. Okay. Now there's some other aspects, there's some other scenarios that I want to throw out at you that are definitely need to be on the table. They need to be discussed, they need to be addressed. Their very first one is, should you just play Ashton? I mean, I'm thinking about this from if I'm a DJ Durkin, if I'm a Derek Nix. Look, everybody's job here is kind of on the line. All right. Can you afford to just sit your starting quarterback down before you go play Alabama? If you can beat Alabama, you could lock this thing up. Do you look at it as a scenario of, I've got to try to make sure that I win, and I need those extra game reps with Ashton to get ready for the Iron Bowl? Hey, as a fan, I'm thinking the same thing. It's selfish to an extent, but you know what? This is a selfish game. This has become a very selfish game. Can you afford to just delay that momentum? If you're trying to win that game, if that game means something, it's at home in front of your home crowd. Is it your best effort that you could put on the field? Is it your best product that you could put on your field against your hated rival? To just sit your starter that just built a wave of momentum this past week? That's a tough question. That's a tough question. That's a tough scenario. How down would Ashton even be for that? He could be a legend, or he could be, out of college eligibility. There's no guarantee you win that game either. So he could burn it all and then go into that game and lose, and now you're just out of college eligibility altogether, and you didn't really gain anything. That's a tough one, though, man. That's a tough one because you kind of found something on the offensive side. The defense is going to be fine. I'm not worried about the defense. The offense is what I've always been worried about. And you found something you can kind of build momentum, and you can maybe go into that game. Hey, bowl eligibility is huge. I think. I know we talked about, is it worth it? Is it not? But I think those extra practices, it keeps the kids on campus, okay? It keeps them here when you have to have those practices. And with the portal only opening, when the portal not opening until January, the only way that you're going to not have a chance to try to save a kid when you bring in a new coach or whatever is if they leave campus, if they unenroll. You can still talk to them, but it's a whole lot tougher. If you got those practices, you got them here. Sure, they can opt out and things like that. And maybe there's some, NIL payment checks and things like that for games, for playing in it. But yeah, that's something that you gotta take into account. And is that the best chance to help you get to a bowl? A lot of things to weigh out. There's a couple of more scenarios I want to throw out in just a second. But before we do that, I got to give a quick shout out to me, Kyle Rush with Keller Williams Real Estate here in Auburn and Opelika, part of the Legacy Property Group. Look, if you're looking to buy, invest, or build, I've worked with every builder in town. I know all of them. So I can answer all your questions there. What type of neighborhood you're looking for, where you want to be. I'm your guy. So if you're looking to move to Auburn, the Auburn Opelika area, definitely give me a shout. If you're again looking to invest, we got some cool investment opportunities coming up. actually that are you could reserve now. Email me at kylerush@kw.com, and I'd love to help you and your family find your dream home in Auburn. Or if you need to sell it, I can help there too. So definitely give me a shout. We'll be back right after this. So let me throw out another scenario for you. And trust me, I've been thinking about these all weekend. It's like there's so many different ways you can go with this. Let me throw another scenario out there for you. Let's say Deuce is your future. You believe that. You believe that maybe even next year you could roll with him. Okay? Let's say Deuce is your future. The only game film he has right now is Ball State, and it's not good. I don't think it's very marketable. I don't think it's very enticing. I don't think it would command a big price tag on the open market, on free agency. So if you decide to roll with Deuce and he lights it up, and he very well could, on the ground and through the air. If he lights it up, albeit against Mercer, he's now got marketability. He's now got ammunition to not only possibly go make waves on the portal, in the portal market, but also to up his price tag at Auburn. Unfortunately, those are questions that you have to ask yourself. Those are questions, those are scenarios that you have to go over. I know we try to make it as pure as we can be and think about it from a pure sports football perspective, but it's a business now. Now, I'm not saying this is something that I would think, and I'm not saying that it would be right to not play him so that he can't go elsewhere or so that it doesn't increase his value, but it's I guarantee you it's part of the conversation. Could you limp to a victory with Jackson and that increases your odds of keeping Deuce? From a financial standpoint, he may be emotional. He may be, have whatever feelings about it. But at the end of the day, he's not a dummy. His representation, they're not dummies. There's not a ton of college teams, I think, that are going to spend what Auburn's spending on him right now to go get him on a guess without real confirmation on footage, on game film, even if it's Mercer. I think it's something you got to talk about. Is that a decision that is that a tough decision? It's got to be on the table, I think. And then another question you have to ask is, I think, and this is not necessarily to do with this weekend, but this is down the road. Is Ashton the guy? Is Ashton the guy for, the next coach is going to ultimately have to make that call, whether that be DJ Durkin or whoever, Kenny Dillingham, Alex Golish, whoever, John Summerall, they're going to have to ask that question. Is Ashton the next guy? Is he the guy you roll with? And it's a one-year guy with Deuce right behind him. I think if you want to sell Deuce on something, that would probably be something that could be sold, I would imagine. If I'm Deuce, I like that quarterback, I like that quarterback room. I like my chances. Can you take the game against Vanderbilt and see enough there that you want to build on? Football has become college football has become so quarterback driven. You used to be able to just out-talent people and just have somebody back there that won't screw up. And you could win championships. We've seen it. We've seen it done. But now that everybody is able to get players, you look at some of the top teams and almost all of them have a really good quarterback. A really, really solid quarterback. You almost have to start your team now. Used to, you built the trenches and built it out, and now it almost seems like you have to start with the quarterback. So is Ashton that guy that you would start with for 2026? That's another thing is Ashton's going to be putting some really good film on tape. So I would imagine that little discount sweetheart deal you got for him is going to be a lot different, especially if he were to go put up another, big number on Alabama. And my gracious, if he wins that game and looks good doing it, and you have another offensive explosion, better believe that people are going to call him. Best believe that he's going to get some really good offers. And deservedly so, if that's the case. So is he the guy that you gamble on? Is he the guy that you roll your dice on, the new coach when you come in? He's right here. And you got film on him, and you've seen him, and he's got the chemistry with some of the guys. Does Ashton Daniels help keep Cam Coleman? Does Ashton Daniels help keep some of these offensive players intact? That chemistry looked pretty good on Saturday. I truly believe it. I said it on the live last night. Maybe I said it last night or, Saturday night. I just feel like Cam Coleman needs an excuse to stay here. I know that people are calling. I know that he's probably going to be the number one target of everybody on the portal market. I think he just needs an excuse to stay here. Is Ashton that excuse? Or do you just say, we can't gamble on a one-game sample size. You have to go get a more proven commodity. And if we're going to spend, in the millions of dollars on a quarterback, we're not going to cut corners anymore. We're not going to take gamble as all of it's a gamble, but we're not going to take as big of a gamble as, maybe we took with, revamping everything with Peyton Thorne and running it back for the second year, or going and getting a reclamation project in Jackson Arnold and feeling like you can fix a lot of the issues with your tutelage and then the pieces around him. What do you guys think? What's the right move? Should Ashton be the next guy? He could make a really compelling case for himself. I'm very curious to see what happens with these last two games, particularly the Mercer game, and how they handle that quarterback situation. Personally, I think if I'm DJ Durkin, the human side of me says figure out a way to save that red shirt and come up with a game plan. I think that will also speak to leadership, selflessness. Figure out a way to win that game, save Ashton's red shirt, and then go all out to try to beat Alabama with Ashton. I think that's the right thing to do. But I will not pretend that all these other items are not on the table. Boy, getting those game reps are extremely valuable. And if you could have Ashton red hot come out and have just a baller half against Mercer, sub him out, just keep that continuity going, and then rolling into Alabama with essentially 3 weeks to prepare, Boy, that'd be tough. That'd be tough to pass up. I think you ultimately have to do the right thing by him. If he was willing to redshirt and that was your plan, I don't think you can burn it this late in the year. But it's tough. What do you guys think? So, who should you roll with? Deuce or Jackson or a combination of the two? What are the percentage chances you just say, look, man, Ashton, I know that was the plan. We got to win these. We got to win these next two. We got to win these next two, and the best chance for us to beat Alabama is for you to ball out against Mercer. Is that on the table? Do you keep Deuce off the field to keep film off the field? To keep him here for next year? Do you just go with Jackson instead of Deuce to protect yourself from possibly losing him to another school? And then the last one is Ashton the guy moving forward? Is Ashton the guy that you roll with? Or do you just say, thank you. If you want to stay, we want you to stay as a backup. Yeah, we know that could be discouraging to incoming guys to know they have to compete with you. But we want to keep you here as a backup. But we got to go get the best we can get. It's a dilemma, man. A lot of stuff that I don't envy. And this is another example of why head coaches have so much more to deal with. This isn't really a conversation typically. This isn't really a conversation like before all this portal and NIL really started. You're just trying to go win games. Now, maybe you have the conversation about Ashton's red shirt. But when you're talking about the portal and you're talking about possibly not giving other teams, letting other teams get eyes on your guy, your backup guy that you think is your future, like all that stuff is up in the air. This is why it's so, to me, important not to be in the mix for being a play caller full time and being the head coach, because there's so many other things you have to do at an elite level. Roster management maybe being the most important. Let me know what you think. Hit me in the comments. Guys, I really appreciate you listening. Thanks for jumping in on the live this weekend, the game stream, and also the live last night with Dap and Zach. We had a lot of great questions, a lot of fun. This thing's going to be fun to watch play out. We got a bye week, so buckle in. We got 2 weeks before we play again. So I really appreciate you listening. We'll be back again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. By the way, I could have a banger for tomorrow. You might want to stay tuned. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.